They've won Tonys and Oscars and Emmys and Grammys. There's no red carpet 'cause they're home in their jammies. From Melrose Place to Broadway to Janeway and her crew. Let Seth and James bring all the stars to you.
Anywho,
they're entertaining everyone, so who's gonna grouse? Just sit right back and you'll hear some tales on Stars in the House.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Stars in the House. I'm James Wesley, and soon to be here is my husband, Seth Rudetsky. Seth, okay, we've been doing this for the Actors Fund since March of 2020, and today is the first for us in our house because, as Dr. LaPook, who will be here at 8:30, has often said that this show has served as a diary of sorts for our respective selves and families. Indeed, today is one of those because Seth's mom, Sally, is here in the house. She's going to be downstairs watching the show with my mom, and Seth and my mom and Sally just finished a game of Rummy Cube. My mom and I played 2 games, and then we all played, and now they played. So they're wrapping up, so they're going to come up here in a minute. But anyway, that's what's going on. So today is a special day in our house. And Julie left just in the nick of time. Julie, our daughter, if you don't know, went back to purchase college on Friday, and Sally, her bed is already being taken over by her other grandmother, Sally. So that's what's happening in our house. Anyway, thank you all for joining us. Today is such an exciting day. I feel like it's Old Home Week because we've got so many of our friends celebrating the amazing understudies of Broadway. We've got Judy Kuhn and Bebe Neuwirth and Brenda Braxton and Anika Larsen and Paul Castree all joining us, and of course, Dr. LaPook. And we got some special guests that are coming up at the top of the show to celebrate. Speaking of celebrating, this new book, B is for Broadway. I don't know if can you see that? There you go. That is, it's a part of the proceeds go to the Actors Fund, and the author and illustrator are going to be with us in just a minute. So we're going to talk about that. But what is the Actors Fund? The Actors Fund, as we've said many times on the show, well over 500 at this point. The Actors Fund is for everyone who is a professional in the performing arts across the country, on stage, backstage. And one of the things that they do, besides giving financially directly to people, back in the day, I was a recipient of, they actually paid my Con Ed bill, my electric bill, when I was needing that sort of help. And the Actors Fund was there for me. But they also do amazing workshops. And one of the workshops that we want to share with you is, and again, they're all virtual, so you can join, is called Money Matters Tax Prep. Maybe I need to take this. Tax Prep for Creative Professionals. Here it is. This workshop will cover what every creative professional needs to know about tax forms, deductions, exemptions, audits, tax-related scams, and more. You'll also learn simple strategies for record keeping. Wow, I really need to do this because guess who does the taxes in our household, or at least preps them for the accountant? Oh my God, I need to take this. I need to practice what I preach, and I need to take this. You'll also learn simple strategies for record keeping so you can navigate tax season with relative ease. Learn more. Thank you, David. You put it up. actorsfund.org/workshops. Okay, if you are able to give, please go to starsinthehouse.com. And if you want to forward your receipts, we can read it aloud. Have one of our people read it. Forward it to donations@starsinthehouse.com. And I forgot to mention, because I see her popping up, is our friend Jen Cody, who's going to start us off. But I promise you, she's not, when you see her, I should say hear her, she's not in a witness protection program. She's just literally in the car driving for like umpteenth hours with her husband, Hunter Foster. So Jen is going to be joining us in a little bit. But right now, I want to bring on the author and illustrator of B is for Broadway, Peter Emmerich and John Robert Allman. Hi, Peter.
Hi,
John.
Hi.
How you doing? I love this book. I don't know if we can, David, do you want to show a couple of the pictures that you have, because the lighting here isn't what I'd like it to be. But it's such an amazing book. But this isn't your first book that you've collaborated on, is it?
No, we started with a book called A is for Audra in 2019 that went through all of our favorite divas from A to Z, and then decided we wanted to do something else and to broaden it out and cover all sorts of things across the Broadway landscape. And so we landed on following with B is for Broadway.
And okay, so and who's the author, who's the illustrator here?
I'm the author, and Peter is the incredible illustrator.
So go ahead, Peter. Hi, Peter.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Well, what I love is because you go through the alphabet and you actually cover what today's show is about. U is for understudies.
Yes.
I love that. Tell me about part of the proceeds, by the way, go to the Actors Fund. That's one of the reasons that you're here, besides it being an amazing book. Before I forget, how do people get this book?
You can kind of get it anywhere books are sold. It's on Random House's website. It's on Amazon. You can order it from any book retailer, any ND, and they should be able to get it for you.
What's your Broadway background or theater background, and why this and not another topic?
Well, we're both lifelong theater fans. For me, I kind of wrote the first book because I wanted to be able to give it to my friends' kids as like a baby gift, and nothing like it existed. And then sort of secondarily at the time, I was actually working in theater advertising at Spotco, and a coworker of mine there one day kind of randomly mentioned not knowing who Betty Buckley was. And I was already kind of kicking around the idea of doing something like A is for Audra. And I thought, you need this book as much as kids do if you work here and you don't know who Betty Buckley is. And so that kind of was the nail in the coffin. And I said, we got to make this happen.
That's hilarious. Peter, what about you?
I mean, for me, I'm a native New Yorker. And so I had started going to Broadway when I was very young. I took myself when I was about 14. And, it's always been very important in my life. And the way we got connected was an editor at Random House had seen some work of mine that they liked. I had done an illustration of Liza, and they thought I'd be perfect for this project. And really, it came together very quickly. Like within a half an hour, I was like, yeah, okay, we're good. And, I had the paperwork to get started. So they wound up putting the two right people together for this project, for both Audra and for this.
So we've asked a lot, we've had a lot of writing teams of, the music and lyrics on the show, lyricists and composers, and we've always asked them how they work together. So what is the process for the two of you, Peter and Jon?
It's really long, for one thing. So it takes about 2 years from when you first start working on a picture book manuscript to it actually coming to market, which is crazy. So I actually just looked this up. We started talking about doing this book in November of 2019, which was right after A is for Audra came out. And I turned in the first draft of it in January 2020. And then, everything that happened pretty much immediately after that was like this crazy unexpected intermission that we've all been through. And so we were collaborating virtually on going back and forth on editing the manuscript and then locking it, turning it over to Peter, and then he'll basically take the text and any sort of art notes that we'll come up with, my editor and I, and then make them a million times better than we could have imagined, and just breathe the personalities of these performers into them so exquisitely, and then bring them into full color, and then it becomes a book.
It's amazing, and there's so many stars in here. There's so many that there's an index at the back that is like it's exhaustive. It's amazing. Peter, have you heard from any of these stars who have done it? Have they seen it yet?
Several people have seen it early on, and thankfully they've lent us blurbs for the book. And the beautiful thing is that everyone has been incredibly generous from the first book, and we're hoping that they'll do the same thing with tweeting about it and posting images from it. So we've been really, really lucky and very blessed with everyone really appreciating the effort that was put into it. I mean, everyone seems to have enjoyed the first one, so we're hoping that they're going to do the same with this one.
Absolutely. I mean, it should be in libraries. I wish I had this book as a kid.
Jon and I say that all the time, that it's the book the books that we wish we had.
I always feel like I had to do so much of my own homework, like going to the library as a kid, pulling out cast recordings that I had no idea what they were, getting into them and kind of piecing together what musical theater know-how I was supposed to have. And then it sort of becomes obvious what you're supposed to know and what you love. And I think being able to pull all of our favorites together into these and kind of have it bound to be able to give to people and share the passion that we have for these shows and these people is kind of what makes it so special for us.
Was there here's Seth. Was there a letter, because you've got A through Z, was there a letter that was like, oh my gosh, you're gonna have to really, you know,
in this book?
It was hard, like Q or something, you know what I mean? Like, was there a letter that was...
So in the first book, Q was probably the biggest stretch. Q is for Broadway's unquestionable queen, Bernadette Peters, of course. And she's actually Q again in this book, which I love. So she'll always be Q. But in B's for Broadway, the biggest stretch that I was a little bit worried we weren't going to be able to get through, but then we did, was for X. We have Stokes in Man of La Mancha standing on a spike mark that looks like an X. So you get to learn a little bit about theater tech with Stokes in Man of La Mancha standing on his mark center stage, which is kind of fun. A deep cut.
It's funny when you talk about young people needing it. I was at a body shop once, and the woman waiting on me was a theater major, and her name was Cassie. And I was like, "Don't pop the head." And she was like, she was literally like, "What?" And I was like, "Don't pop the head, Cassie." She's like, "I don't know what that means." Literally musical theater major. So if this book had existed, I would have shoved it in her face.
You know, is that even with my level of knowledge about Broadway, I mean, the amount of research that I had to wind up doing for the illustrations, it was way more than I had expected. I mean, for both books, just because I wanted to get everything right, you know, down to, like, you just showed the image of Stokes, you know, I wanted to get that rose pattern on his costume correct. It's like I tried to get every little thing in there. So it's just, you know, we can never know enough, but you know, that girl really should, you know, hang her head in shame.
Oh, I'm so fuming. I'm boycotting the body shop. So wait, so have we said how we can get these amazing books?
Yeah, before you leave, let's put that up again, David. Basically, anywhere that books are sold. Does it go officially on sale tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow's opening night.
Yes.
Oh, it's so great.
Well, congratulations, guys, and thanks so much for the books, and thanks for coming on the show.
Of course. Thank you so much for having us.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, John.
Brava.
Yes. So we have it's almost like a roving reporter.
Yeah.
And so let's just bring her out. And we wanted to bring on Jen Cody because why, Seth? Because
she's the queen of the swings. Any time you see a post about a swing, it's posted by Jen Cody. Either a post about a swing or a post about Hunter peeing too much. Either one, Jen Cody posts. So please welcome the queen of the swings, Jen Cody.
Jen,
Hi,
I didn't
guys.
think I would see you.
I know, because I just got back into New York and I ran in and Hunter's down unpacking the car. But I came in and he's probably going to be mad. But anyway, that's what it is. We just got back from Florida. We drove 2 days to get home.
Well, actually, I want to talk about that for a second because, you know, we're raising money for the Actors Fund, and I keep saying because people are really struggling, and your situation is what's been happening to people. Talk about what happened to you in Florida.
Yeah, so I was very excited to get a job in Florida doing a play and decided to drive down there and got there. We had our first rehearsal, showed up, thought I was going to do a table read, and the producer came out and said, we're closing the show. So we never even rehearsed. And now I'm in Florida. So I stayed a little bit before I came back. But the show ahead of us and then our show, and then actually it ended up being the whole season got canceled.
Wow.
Yeah.
And people need insurance weeks. I mean, what do people that are counting on those weeks do? And what about you subletting your apartment? It's like, what do people do?
I have to say, the theater was gracious because they did let people stay a couple weeks to try to figure out the whole housing situation. But, you know, it's happening everywhere. People are getting to where they think they're going to have a job and either the audience just doesn't show up or COVID goes through the company so quickly and they can't keep bodies on the stage. And, you know, thus the understudies and swings. Yay.
Well, and that's what we were saying, Jen, last week when we were talking about this show is that it's really mainly only Broadway that has understudies. I mean, most people that are in Actors Equity don't have their jobs on Broadway. They're, you know, they're in regional theaters and different kind of contracts.
And yeah, a lot of regional theaters have no understudies at all. So if people have COVID, peace out show.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to it's sad that it took a national pandemic to bring out how amazing understudies and swings are. But I think the stories of understudies for people who aren't in this business is, the understudy covers the star, and when the star gets hurt, they go on and they become a star, and that's like, that's the glorified look at it. But 99.99999% of the time, the understudy goes on, does a great job, gets no, recognition, and then goes back to what I always say is back to the second row of bows, And in the swings, there's the swings on Broadway, they cover up to 10 people. And during this time, this COVID time, some of them have been going on for 3 and 4 people a night. One understudy told me, or swing told me he went on for 7 people one night. That's just, it's inhumane.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You need such a mathematical brain to be able to do that. I'm going to do this for one section, this for one section.
Yeah, I understudied, I think 5 times on Broadway, and that's one role. I can't imagine the swings that cover 10 people, and go on for multiple people each show.
I mean, Jen, it may be too soon, but do you think anything will change regarding after we get through all this regarding understudies and actors and protection
swings.
for actors and swings?
I hope so. I think that the knowledge of what they do now is becoming more evident. I said actually the other day, someone said, "Wow, we're finally, we know what the swings need." I said, "The swings and the understudy they've been asking for years. We're just finally listening." And I think we're just acknowledging that we can't do it without them. And
Right.
I do hope that there's a change. I think there's generally a change right now in the world of how we look at theater workers, and we do get sick, and we do as much as we try to go on, and we have health issues and mental issues. We just need time off. We need time sometimes, and I think people are acknowledging that now. So yes, hopefully we'll get more swings and understudies for every theater across the country.
Well, I can tell you, Jen, that our friend Kara Serber, who's been volunteering on Stars in the House for almost the entire time we've done it, she was in a show at Casa Manana that got canceled because people got COVID and there weren't enough they actually had some understudies, but now she has a job at Dallas Theater Center. She's an equity actor. And she said I think it's the first time that they have understudies for everyone. Like, in other words, they can, if someone gets sick, they're ready. They have extra equity contracts that they normally don't have.
They've realized how important understudies
exactly. So bravo to Dallas Theater Center for doing that.
It took a pandemic, but that's okay. Yeah. It's one of the good things that's come out of it, I guess.
I will say, though, Jen, you're married to a man who was an understudy and actually refused to go on.
Oh, are you talking about in Greece?
Yep. Hunter Foster was the understudy for Danny, and he refused to go on only because, for some weird reason, he didn't want to go on playing romantic Danny opposite his sister, Sutton, as Sandy. He did not want to make out with Sutton.
Awkward moment. Awkward. Those awkward family photos? Like, that's what that would have been.
I love they were like, we're not weren't the Weisters like, Hunter, of course you go on. He was like, I'm not doing it.
They thought it would be like a really, really cool publicity stunt. Ew.
Oh.
No.
Oh my gosh.
Not cool.
Not
all right,
cool.
then we miss you. We want to see you in person again.
Yeah, I miss you guys.
All right.
Oh, all right.
Love
lady.
you, Jen. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Hi, girl. Thanks for
Bye.
supporting swings. She's the queen of the swing. And she's the reason why we do Stars in the House. Because when the Broadway shut down, she was like, theater people, can't we do anything to help? And I said to James, Jen Cody just posted something. We've got to do a show. And that's why we're doing Stars in the House.
But now that Jen's gone, there was the one outrageous part.
The one outrageous, she was like, can't we do anything? And she tagged all these people and she didn't tag me. And I was like, that bitch didn't tag me. Who the hell else is going to do it besides? I was so angry at her. Anyway,
I love how we both wait to do that after Jen is
gone.
completely
Okay,
gone. She's not watching. Hunter's yelling at her right now. Why aren't you helping me in the car? So she doesn't know. Anyway, let's bring on another good friend. Speaking of from the beginning of Stars in the House, she was
on the second
episode?
on
our first matinee back when we were doing matinees and evenings. Judy Kuhn was our second star. Kelly opened that night, and then the next day, Judy Kuhn was our very first matinee.
Please welcome Judy Kuhn.
Hi, you guys.
Hi, Judy.
Really long time no see.
I know.
I think actually goes, it's been a long. If anyone's heard Judy Kuhn's first album, it is amazing. And she sounds phenomenal on that one particular song. Just saying. How are you, dear?
Thank you so much, Seth. I'm good. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you. How are you guys?
We're here. We're still here.
You know, Judy, we're about to have our 2-year anniversary in around a month and a half.
Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy. God, this has gone on for a long time, hasn't it?
We're sorry, Judy, to hear that your show had to close early.
Which is relevant to this whole swing understudy thing. So is that what happened? There weren't enough swings and understudies?
Oh, God. It's a painful story for me because I got COVID. My husband got COVID. I got it from him. And I gave it to half the cast, basically. But the day, I can't even, it's too painful to talk about. But I was out on the Sunday matinee. We were going into our very last week of shows. And it was clear that I was done. And then on Tuesday, 2 people tested positive, actually 3, I think. And 2 of them had the same person covering them.
Oh.
And so they just decided there was sort of nothing to be done. And they decided, let's quit while we're ahead and not try to cobble a show together. Because we had done that once or twice too during the run. And then a couple more people got sick. So it was a nightmare. And
But you weren't. But it sounded like Judy Kuhn closed the Assassins. I mean, there had already been people earlier on who had gotten it too. It was kind of inevitable, I think, in this time and in such a small space. And I don't know. I mean, other people had gotten it before you too in the cast.
Well, we had just to, because I don't want to dwell on this topic.
Yes.
We had to go back to the understudy topic. We had 3 understudies, 2 men, 1 woman, covering all 15 of us.
Wow.
Yeah. Some people were almost impossible to cover because they also played instruments.
Okay.
So
okay. That's a lot to ask of an understudy.
The instrumentalists were picking up where one of the actor musicians was off, and we had the other musicians picking up things, and we had the music director singing in some lines. I mean, it was crazy. But what those understudies did and what they went through is just remarkable. They were amazing when they had to go on, but what they also had to do was go through many days of stress where it wasn't clear whether they were going to go on. Like someone had a positive test, then we had to wait for 2 negative tests, and we would do a put-in, and then sometimes they wouldn't even go on, which is also heartbreaking. Wow. So it was really complicated, and unfortunate that we didn't have more understudies, and that, it's just unfortunate that anybody has to go through all that.
But to end that, talking about Assassins on a more joyous note,
yes,
you had Stephen Sondheim in your apartment, I know, at the beginning of the whole run. I mean, that's kind of amazing.
Yeah, I mean, God, what an extraordinary thing. The production was so amazing. The cast was so extraordinary. And it was the last opening of one of his shows that he attended.
Oh my God.
And he sat there in the front row, and he laughed, and he cried, and he applauded, and he loved it. And the theater couldn't, the theater was prohibited from throwing an opening night party. So I said, why doesn't everyone come to my house? And so I invited the cast and creative team, and I wrote to Sondheim and told him I was having this party if he wanted to come. I wasn't sure if he'd want to. He had sprained his ankle, so he was hobbled. And he said, I'm delighted. I would love to come. Can I bring my husband? I said, yes. So there he was there sitting on my couch and having, holding court and having a great time. And it was amazing. It was amazing. Wow. And I feel really grateful because obviously that was the last time any of us saw him. And I have so much gratitude that we had that experience and that time with him.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, so I want to go back to the beginning because we're talking about understudies and swings. And this is what, by the way, I love about understudies and swings. People don't realize, like, they always think like the understudies are like the lesser talents. Basically, every understudy in swing is amazing. Like, the talent level is crazy. I had so many to choose from for tonight that are like major stars that I was just like, I'm going to wheedle it down. But so Judy Kuhn, one of the best singers on Broadway ever, began as an understudy. So the first thing you have to know is that she understudied Rosebud, crazy high soprano in Drood, as well as Betty Buckley, crazy high belter. So already the talent level, the high soprano and the belting. Judy Kuhn, what was your audition? The phone book?
Well, needless to say, I had to sing a soprano song and a belt song.
Yeah.
And then for my final audition, I had to sing some material from the show, I think. This was a long time ago, so I don't remember exactly. But I told you that audition story, how crazy that audition.
We'll talk about that before we tell your understudy story.
So
talk about that.
I was very new to the biz. And I went through all these, I went to an open call, and then I made each cut. And this was the final callback in a studio. And there was Joe Papp and Wilfred Leach and Graziella Danielle, who was a choreographer, and Robbie Marshall, who was her assistant and was in the ensemble. All these amazing, like, huge people. And I had to go in there and I sing my songs. And then I had to do the speech that Edwin Drood does at the end and then storms out of the theater. And Wilfred Leach said to me, okay, so you're really angry. I want you to tell us all off. And then I want you to storm out of the room. And then she storms out of the room. And I said, okay. And the first thing I thought was, when he says tell them off, should I actually tell them off? Like, should I look at Joe Papp and tell him off?
Right.
So I decided, okay, I'll go for that. And then so I was doing the speech, and as I was approaching the end, I thought, did he mean really storm out of the room? And I thought, okay, why not? So I finished the speech. I glared at them. I picked up my bag and I stormed out of the room and I slammed the door. And of course, there were all these people in the hallway waiting for their auditions who looked up at me like, oh my God, what happened? And I just started to laugh and I said, it's okay. But then there I was outside the door and I thought, should I go back in? Should I go home? And then I stood there kind of paralyzed. And then Rob Marshall opened the door and said, that was great. You can go.
And P.S. you got it.
And P.S. later that day, they called me and made me an offer. So,
wow.
But
I didn't even have an agent. I didn't have an agent. They called me. They had to call me at home.
Had to, but that's what I love. I love the direct call. But the point is, it was her first Broadway show. She's understudying. I want people to know the bravery it takes to understudy. And what's crazy is they always basically never rehearse you during previews. And that is the time when most understudies go on. I don't know why they pretend we'll never need them. And that's what happened. So Edwin Drew began previews. How far into it did they ask you to go on?
Well, mind you, we had done it in Central Park. I almost had to go on, and then the show got rained out. But we moved to Broadway, and there were changes in the show, and a lot of things were restaged, obviously. And maybe it was, I don't know, I think it was the first week of previews. It might have been our second or third preview. I was far from having been rehearsed. And I got a call in the afternoon saying, Patty Cohenauer is out and you are on. Get to the theater right now. We have to fit you for a costume, and the company's coming in to do a put-in.
Wow.
And this is a huge leading role. So it's your first leading role on Broadway. And talk about the craziness that happened to you.
Well, as some of you out there may know, that the show is based on a novel by Charles Dickens that he died before he finished. So there's no ending to the story, and nobody knows the answer to the mystery of who killed Edwin Drood. And so this was done as a kind of music hall, and the audience voted on who they thought the murderer was. So at the end of the part that supposedly Dickens wrote, all the principal characters come out with a number and sort of flirt with the audience to try to get their votes. And the ensemble go out into the audience and count. People raise their hands and they count. And then at the end of that, the principals all go off stage left, hand their number to the stage manager standing there, and the stage manager would tell the person who was voted the murderer, and then that person had to go out and sing a song. Well, I wasn't really too worried about that. I just wanted to get through the show because I thought no one's going to vote for the understudy. But sure enough, I went off stage and I handed my number and the stage manager said, "It's you." And I said, "Ha ha ha, very funny." I thought she was playing a joke on me. She said, No, it's you. And I just thought, oh my God, I don't know if I know that song. Like I hadn't gone over it, at least for a long time.
Couldn't the stage manager have given you a break and given it to someone else?
Yeah, no one there is going to know that I voted for you.
I had to go right back on stage too. Rosa Bud didn't have a chance to be off stage and look at the song. She had to go right back on stage and listen to the great Cleo Lane sing a song, which was great, except that I spent the whole time trying to go over what the lyrics were and what I was supposed to do.
Of course.
Anyway, I have no memory of it because I woke up the next day with amnesia, but I figure I got through it because nobody told me that I didn't. So
you blacked out.
You didn't get fired, so it worked out.
I did. I blacked out.
So she literally went on for the high soprano. She went on for Betty Buckley belting. That's what's crazy. And before you go, I want to say Judy Kuhn, like I say, really one of the best singers literally ever on Broadway. She's got a show coming up. I have to promote you, Judy.
Oh, thanks, Seth.
It's going to be February 14th on Valentine's Day, which is a Monday. And also you can either go to Green Room or you can live stream it, right?
Yes.
Okay, so before you go, remember you came on, you said it's been a long time. And I thought that song, "It's Been a Long, Long Time." I had David Katz download a little bit of my deconstruction of you singing that phrase. Let's watch.
And what I'm obsessed with is that "it's been a long" is really a mix, but it's so powerful. Long, long, and then it's full belt. So it's mix, chest voice, full belt. I am so obsessed with that placement. I rewind this 8,000 times at the gym. I'm just telling you right now. Hear me out. Okay, hold on. Oh my gosh, that's phenomenal. Listen to that placement. It's mix, chest, full belt, or just mix, chest, chest. But oh my God, it's so exciting. It's been a long, oh my God. Just in time, you found me just in
time. Yes.
I never knew you deconstructed that performance.
It's so good. Judy, when you hear that, you just go like, I can't believe how good I sound.
I think, wow, I can't do that anymore.
Oh, wait, you totally can. The one time I ever do concert with you, people always say she sounds exactly like the recording. You always sound the same. So nice try. Yeah. Exactly.
All right, Judy, actually, before you go, I know you have a couple of donations, right?
For the Actors Fund.
Before we bring on Dr. LaPook.
I'd like to read you some things. Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
Seth, James, and crew, we are here to support you as always. Shows may be less frequent, but the work is no less important. Just got to see Come From Away on tour last weekend, and if not for the understudies and standbys, there is no way it would have taken place. Hope all is well. Ryan in Wisconsin, who gave $100. Thank you,
Ryan.
Love Ryan.
Thanks, James and Seth, for your continued dedication and for bringing amazing people like tonight's lineup. Thank you. Into our lives. Lady Braxton alone has brightened our lives so much, along with everyone else, from Susan and Mona. They gave $25 to the Actors Fund. Thank you, Susan and Mona. S is for Stars in the House, and G is for generosity. Thanks for all you do. Mark from Massachusetts, who gave $100. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Nice.
So many loyal people. Thank you, Judy Kuhn. February 14th, Green Room. Go live or live stream it.
Oh, come. If you're in town, come.
Yes. Come.
I had COVID, so I can't give you COVID.
Hi, the COVID's gone.
All right.
Thank you, Jude.
Bye, Judy.
Bye, you guys. Take care. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. All right. Please welcome to Stars in the House, the Chief Medical Correspondent of CBS and this program, Dr. Jon LaPook.
Hey, guys. Wait, Judy, come back. Come
Hold on,
back,
let's see if
Judy.
the section's left. Let's see if
Where's
she's
she
there.
gone?
Judy
Is she
Kuhn, 1,
gone?
2, 3, Judy.
Hi, John.
Hi, Judy. Your story about not knowing, being terrified that you didn't know the words.
Yes.
Such a universal story, whether you were in Camp Algonquin, in, Fiddler on the Roof, or as the third rock on the right, or you were, I interviewed Julie Andrews once, and she says she still has recurring nightmares that she's about to go on My Fair Lady, to do My Fair Lady, and she doesn't know the words. This was, I don't know how many years, it was several years ago, but I guess it's a universal.
Totally. Well, that was just not being fully prepared. But the idea, especially when you're in a run, that you get to a place and you feel you don't remember what to do, or you're about to go on stage and you think, I don't remember my first line. I learned from my fellow assassins that there's actually a phrase for that all these years I'd never heard. And it's called, that they said it's called going into the white room.
Yes, of course. You've never heard the white room?
No.
It means like you can't see a corner. Everything is just
All
white.
of a sudden, yeah, and it's a perfect way of going, oh my God, I'm in this white room and I can't see my way out.
It's exactly what it is.
That's, I was once years ago at the very beginning when I was first on CBS Evening News, and I wasn't used to being live. And it was when Katie Couric was still there, and she we came back and she asked me a question. It was about a new drug, and I said, and I totally went blank. I didn't know, though I was in the white room. Now I know. I had no idea what the question was. I had no idea where I was. It's really the only time that happened. And I said something like, well, Katie, in these situations, and this is really important. At this moment, I have no idea even like where I am. But I'm going, this is really important that don't change any of your medication without talking to your doctor first.
Great.
And
That's an overall answer. It means nothing, but it's excellent.
We go to commercial, and she turns to me and she goes, she was so sweet the way she did it, because I was like, okay, they're going to fire me. And she turned to me sweetly and said, you had a brain fart, didn't you? I said, yep. I had no idea what I was saying. Okay, it happens to everybody. But it was such a kind moment at a moment, I said something I never forgot. I don't think I'll ever forget that, when you just think, okay, I just screwed up in front of millions of people.
Yeah.
Nobody will notice.
All right, Judy, go take care of yourself. Bye. So Dr. LaPook, I'm sure you have updates, but two questions that seem to keep coming up over and over again that we even heard on NPR, I think this morning or yesterday morning, which are, two things. I, by the way, just tested today because we're seeing Seth's mom negative. And that's one of my questions, which is some people are, if they turn positive, those rapid tests, they're positive for 4 or 5 days. That seems to be the average. But some people, they're still testing positive 6, 7, 8, 9 days later
on the rapid test.
On the rapid test, so they're taking it home, being responsible. And the question is, if a person, let's say Seth and I both had COVID, and Seth stops turning, and let's say we're both exposed on the same day, and Seth stops turning positive on day 5, and I don't stop until day 9. Is he no longer negative? I mean, no longer contagious on day 8, but I am? Is it all about the rapid test?
Well, the rapid test is reflecting, and it's a test, so it's imperfect, right? But, there's a curve. I think and I could be off a little on this, but like by day 5, half of the people are not infectious. By day 9 or 10, it's down to 90% are not infectious. But, there's a tail of that. And when the CDC is giving advice, it's for a population. How can we go back to life and not have everybody staying home for the rest of our lives, right? But there are going to be some small number of percentage of people, I would think, who are still infectious on day 11. Once the CDC doesn't recommend testing out of, they don't require you to test out of isolation, right? They say that at day 5, you can take, where day 0 is the first day of symptoms, you can take a test, and if it's negative, then you can leave isolation wearing a mask, right?
Right.
Or they say actually, if you have a test, right? It's kind of they don't demand that you do that, but you have to. The whole thing is you have to wear a mask for the entire time. But they don't say at the end of 10 days or at the end of 10 days of quarantine that you have to take a test and go out. But if you do that, if you want to be especially careful, I think if it's testing positive, one or two things is happening. Is you're actually still infectious and for another couple of days, or you have broken down pieces of protein. It's an antigen test that are still there, but not really infectious. But you're still testing positive. I don't think you can assume that. So I think if you want to be belt and suspenders and you're going to see somebody important, I mean, everybody's important. Somebody immunocompromised, somebody who you're worried about.
Someone who's really elderly, who's maybe in your family.
And maybe who's not able to be vaccinated, whatever. And you want to be especially careful. Right before we walk in the door, literally at the door, or go in the door and go somewhere, you take the test. If you're negative, you come in. You're probably fine for 3 or 4 hours. You're going to be with them. If you're positive, you turn around and go out. But
I wish more people knew that. I just saw an article in the Daily News. It's like, we tested negative 2 days before our Christmas dinner. We don't know why we got it. It's like, what? I don't understand why people don't understand. Like, take a rapid test, and for 4 to 5 hours, you're fine, and that's it.
Yeah, and in fact, that's happened to so many people, right? Where especially with Omicron, where it's a faster, incubation period. You can turn from negative to positive very quickly. You can be negative on a fast antigen test at 8 in the morning. At 4 in the afternoon, you're positive. We talked about that with all the Broadway stuff. I thought you were going to say, can you infect each other? If you're negative and you're positive, is he going to reinfect you? And no, that's not going to be a worry at that point.
Well, that was actually going to be my second question. Was we've known people who had it, who tested positive for COVID in December, and then got COVID again, negative for a couple of weeks or whatever, and then got it again. Is it one of those things that, they probably had Delta and now it's Omicron, or could it be the Omicron 1 and then 2? Like what?
Any and all of the above. Also, how did they turn positive? Was it positive on a PCR? Or was it
I think it was antigen both times. Both times were
antigen negative positive. So then it's more likely that it is a new infection. I'm assuming it's not a false positive. But remember that the cold virus, the there are 7 coronaviruses. Sneezy, Doc, Dopey. No. Sorry, those are the 7. There are 4 of those. There was MERS, SARS 1, SARS 2, and then the 4 that are the common cold.
Right.
Which may have started out as viciously 1,000 years ago. As
we talked
about that for a while now, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's how SARS-CoV-2 started, and then over the time it got attenuated. When at the beginning of the pandemic, I looked at this. You can get reinfected with the same cold virus several times, within a number of months in the same cold season.
I see.
So you can get reinfected, and you probably can get reinfected. Well, we know you can get reinfected with SARS-CoV-2, but you would think that you would have some period of immunity. That's why I said I'm not worried about the 2 of you getting co-infected and then ping-ponging it, within that 10, 14-day period when we think at the end of 2 weeks at least, at most, it's going to be done.
Sure. Any other updates before we?
Just this one question that we have from a viewer.
Oh, okay, yeah.
People are asking about the booster number 4. What are we supposed to do about that?
Well, Israel's tested that. They did have a 3-fold increase in neutralizing antibodies. It's not clear that you need it yet. With all these boosters, you have a boost in neutralizing antibodies that are going to slowly come down. That may help protect you from infection. Remember the difference between infection, hospitalization, and death. And maybe when your titers go up, when those antibody levels go up, you have some more protection against probably against everything, right? But it looks like even after the 4 months, when your antibody titers start to go down, titers meaning level. So that's like a fancy schmancy medical term. It's like TITRE or ER, depending upon if you're in England or in America. You still have what's called cellular immunity with B cells, memory B cells, and memory T cells. So that's what's protecting you from severe illness. And it turns out that when you get that booster, even just one booster, that you have very good protection against serious illness. And have you seen the latest numbers of these? It's like 20-fold increase in protection against death when you get that booster. So, we keep saying this over and over again. We're splitting hairs about should you get the second booster. If you get vaccinated and you get boosted, that booster is so important. It sends up their protection, and the odds that you're going to get, it can happen, especially if you're elderly, you have underlying illness, whatever, but the odds that you're going to get seriously ill are so much diminished. And I go back to when I was on the COVID wards at NYU Langone, where I'm a professor of medicine, back in April of 2020. And when I went in there, I thought if I got infected, I might die. I was afraid of that. And now I don't want to get infected, but I really don't think I'm going to die. I don't think I'm going to get seriously ill. And especially if I could get, as time goes by and we have these therapeutics. Remember Paxlovid, which had 88%, 89% decrease in hospitalization and death if people get infected. So I think it comes back to these layers. We go back to that layers. No one thing's going to perfectly protect you. But if you take the vaccine, and I think they've got to change the terminology to being if you're up to date with your vaccination.
Right, there you go.
Fully. They don't want to, they want to give you a carrot and a stick. They want to say, if you go ahead and are on the road to full vaccination, then we're going to give you a certain carrot. But so if you've had 2, but you're not ready for the 3rd yet, you're up to date. If 4 months have gone by, 5 months, and then you've had your booster, you're up to date. I think that's what's confusing people. You do that. You understand about aerosols, which how many times do we have to say it? You understand outside safer than inside. You wear the mask. And then you understand that this is going to end up being, at the end of the day, like checking your weather report. We're going to have to all understand, what's my individual risk tolerance? When am I going to feel safe to come out of the cave? And then maybe it's different from different days. Today, I'm going to go look at the COVID report. Oh, it's down in my city. You see what's happening in New York City. It's really plummeted. Okay, that's good. And where am I going? Am I going to see somebody who's immunocompromised? No, I'm going to go with some of my friends. We're all boosted. We're all vaccinated. We're all boosted. Nobody's sick. We're all responsible. Maybe we do an extra layer if we have the COVID test and we test ourselves right as we walk through the door.
Sure.
I would go indoors with those people without a mask at a time when the level is super low. At a time when the level's super high and it's hot, I might feel less comfortable about that.
Sure. Okay. All right, Dr. LaPook, thank you as always, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
I'll be in California.
Okay.
Oh, fabulous.
All right.
Bye,
Dr. LaPook.
Back to Swings and Understudies.
Yes. Seth, do you want to do the honors?
We're bringing on double?
Yes, we are.
Okay, let's first bring on our co-host that's been here many times. She's always surprised when she's brought on. So please welcome Brenda, a.k.a. Lady Braxton.
Hello. Yeah, that's Judy Kuhn. Yeah, okay, I'll call you back. All right, bye-bye. Oh, hey! Ooh, let me turn my light on. Wait. Oh, hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Sorry, we caught you like this.
Yeah.
Caught you at a bad time.
Bad time. It's 8:49. I thought it was going to be first, but okay. So anyway,
I can hear you. Okay, we're bringing on another dancer pal of yours, another fabulous triple threat, and another Velma, the fabulous Bebe Neuwirth.
Yay! Mwah, mwah, mwah. Hi, baby princess. How are you?
I'm well, Duchess. How are you?
I'm so good. Thank you for asking.
Okay, so Understudy Swings, we got to talk. So Brenda Braxton,
Yes.
I want to say you were the original swing in Dreamgirls?
Yes. It was only 2 of us, male swing, female swing.
Wow.
And they realized once we got back to New York, we need some more swings up and through her. Yeah. And so
How many parts did you cover, lady?
we covered, which was interesting. I was thinking about this today. I think it was the only show that I had to cover male and female swings, because in Step Into the Bad Side, where you couldn't really tell male or female, up on the platform, everyone had to cover everyone. So whether you were a guy or a girl, you know, money, record, and shake. That was it. Yeah. So.
And for a second, just to explain, basically, this is my version of being a swing. You know, there are the numbers on stage of 0 in the center and then 2, 4, 6, 8 that way, 2, 4, 6, 8 that way. So when you're going on, Brenda, you're going, I'm doing the same dance steps I've done before, but this time I'm beginning on 4 and I'm going to 8. Yeah. How do you have those numbers in your head? I
don't know. You know, again, I was thinking about that today. Back in the year of our Lord, when I started this, you couldn't video either. So you literally had to write everything down. You had to either memorize it or write it down. I had my own little kind of dance notation to know, okay, this person goes here. They go between this person and this person. So you really had to just have a good memory and, you know, have your own type of notation.
It's all in the Bible. The dance captain has something called a Bible.
Yep. I still have my Dreamgirls Bible, as a matter of fact. Yeah.
So, Bebe Neuwirth, I wrote you because I knew you understudied in one show, and then you wrote back. How many shows did you understudy and swing in?
No, I've never swung. That's the hard job, is swinging. I've never done that. They asked me if I would be willing to swing in one show once, and I went, oh, no. So, and I got the show and got a part, so I'm not really, but I understudied it. I don't know why they did that, but well, my very first job was a chorus line. I understudied Sheila and Cassie, and I understudied a tour of West Side Story, and I understudied, well, in Sweet Charity. I played Nikki Pignatelli, but I understudied Charity also.
So that's interesting to me. So you're playing this leading role, but you're understudying. By the way, I second acted Sweet Charity. Sorry, I'll pay you the $20 one day that I stole from the coppers.
You don't owe it to me.
Oh, that's true. But I saw you as Charity, and it was so weird to me because I'd seen you as Nikki. What was it like? I mean, they're both such giant roles. How did you do that?
Well, they're very, very, very different parts. Very different parts. I don't know. You play one, then you play the other. But you're probably wondering about the night that I played both parts.
I didn't know that happened. What was that?
Well, because I started out as Nikki, and then we had actually a terrible emergency during the show, and they had to, bring in the curtain. Is there a doctor in the house? And so because Annie, it was Annie Reinking had got hurt, and so she was playing Charity, and curtain came down and stopped the show, and because it was a real emergency. And then when the show started back up again, it happened during If My Friends Could See Me Now. She'd already done the number, and she hides in the closet. Charity hides in the closet, and she's drinking out of the beer bottle and listening at the door and all this to Vittorio Vidal. Well, there was a the beer bottle still had a tiny bit of cleaning fluid in it. And it was horrifying. It was terrible.
Of course.
She didn't know what it was, and she ran off the stage, and she was tended to, and we brought in the curtain, and and so when the curtain came back up, it's the morning after. Annie was fine, by the way. Annie was absolutely fine. She went to the hospital. They took care of her. She was fine. The prop man felt horrible. He was devastated. He's a lovely man, and he was devastated. Anyway, so the curtain comes back up. This is such a terrible way to tell the story. I'm so sorry. If you can follow this, bless you. But, at the end, so in the scene, Vittorio Vidal gets up in the morning, and he tiptoes over to the closet, and he opens the door, and Charity falls out. And so the curtain comes back up. It's a new day, and Mark Jacoby playing Vittorio Vidal tiptoes over, opens up the closet, and I fall out.
Wow.
And Dana Moore then it's a ripple effect. So I go on as Charity. Dana Moore who was playing lead Frug. She goes on as Nikki, and then our swing, and I'm very, very sorry, I cannot remember who was swinging at the time, goes in and fills in for Dana. So that's the other thing maybe sometimes people don't realize is there's this big ripple effect that happens. Somebody, especially if the swing is in the show, and
right,
one thing after another.
I have two things to say. When I was doing Grease on Broadway, Brooke Shields drank from something and literally drank cleaning fluid. The same thing. So it's like a weird occurrence. And second of all, I want to say when Bebe I started doing Nikki, and I remember talking to Jane Krakowski once, and Jane was saying one of the hardest steps, that Fosse thing where you turn your leg in and then turn it out. And Jane was like, that is so difficult to do. And I was like, it just looks like walking. And Jane was like, the balance is crazy. So I want you all to see how amazing Bebe is doing that step. This is Bebe as Nikki. Watch this.
yeah.
Oh my God. So that's Debbie Allen playing Charity there, and Allison Williams playing.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh my God, that was fast.
That's really fast.
So well done.
Wow.
And you all sounded so great after all that dancing. You're like, how in the heck can you do that?
That is one of the more aerobic pieces of choreography that I've had to do.
Yeah.
And Brenda, Braxton, any double swing time, any swing nightmares you need to know about when you were doing Dreamgirls?
No.
Great.
Roll tape.
Exactly. I just have
actually quadruple swing, because sometimes, like Bebe said, people would go out during the show. And we had one time when all 4 of our swings were on and someone was out. So like you said, the ripple effect of covering and double covering, we would literally pass each other in the basement and go, who are you? Wait, who are you? No, I'm doing that. No, I thought I was doing it. No, yeah. So.
Well, we're talking about the show Bible because Brenda had that show Bible. And speaking of the Actress Fund, Brenda was able to choreograph our Dreamgirls concert. Oh. She knew all the steps. And that's why we raised $1 million for the Actress Fund. And here she is calling out numbers and being her sassy self in rehearsal. Let's take a gander.
That's right. This is the best part. Look. Isn't that great? Look.
One, two, three, four. Is your head here or here? What is it? 5, 9. Is it just shoulders, hips, contraction? No contraction here. All of it. No contraction. Sort of marking rail.
My horrible singing.
Yes.
We did have to alter a lot of that. We had to alter a lot of the choreography, but it worked. It still
So good.
worked.
What'd you ask, Bebe?
I said, did you get to keep the water bottle?
Oh my
Gotta
God.
say-
Yes.
Such a God, that show was great. My
Yeah.
God. I
Yeah,
saw you
yeah.
all in previews. I saw that in the preview.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, yeah. Jennifer Holliday made the theater explode. It was
Oh, yeah.
incredible. It
Oh
was-
yeah.
You all made the theater explode. It was
Yeah. It was history
incredible.
making. Yeah.
Yeah.
It really
Wow.
was.
Oof.
Ooh. So Seth, I
Um,
know you're gonna mention it.
Uh-oh.
Then maybe don't.
No, the tell us, Miss Jones.
Okay, so I'll tell. So
Uh-huh.
basically, everybody in the show had fierce voices. And by the way, Brenda is a fierce singer, but she understudied Brenda Presley, who had a crazy high voice. How does it feel to always be in the background? So Brenda, what would happen when you would go on for the reporter?
Okay, so the setup is the reporters are in a line on one side and the dreams and everybody on the other, and we're literally looking at each other, right? And everyone knew that this one line was the bane of my existence. And so I would always be there again with him. Tell us, Miss Jones, always be in the background. Because I had psyched myself out so bad. But the looks on the faces of the dreams and Cleovant, and they were like this. Just wrong. Just wrong. Just wrong.
Just go down the octave.
No. You could not do that. You could not, Henry Krieger and all those folks, you could not do that. Mm.
Wait, Bebe, I have a great story for you before you read donations. Kelly Bishop, who I know you understudied and you went on for Sheila.
No,
Kelly,
I didn't understudy her.
You didn't? No, but I mean the role of Sheila.
The role of Sheila, yes. Yeah.
So Kelly was the original Sheila, and Kelly had an audition, and she was so nervous about it. And I'm like, can I hit those notes? Can I hit those notes? And she auditioned for it, and she walked out, and she said to her piano, she goes, oh my God, I totally hit all the notes. And he said, Kelly, you sang it down the octave. She didn't.
That's
even
how I
it.
always feel. Where am I? Did I sing that right?
That's going to be the name of my memoir. My memoir is going to be called Down the Octave.
Absolutely. But Seth, I don't know. One last thing. Seth, did you know that I understudied Grisabella on Broadway?
I did know that because you were Demeter and you actually went on a lot for Grisabella.
Yes, I went on for 2 weeks and I surprised myself.
I always said you have a great voice, Brenda. I applaud you.
Thank you. I knew it.
I mean, the show did close, and I'm not saying it was your fault, but it did close. Okay, let's talk about donations.
Yes. Bebe, you have donations?
What do I read? Oh, hi, Seth, James, Dr. LaPook. Is this
There
what?
you go.
Yeah.
Sure.
Today's show highlights how important it is to keep donating to the Actors Fund because there is still such a great need. Thanks for continuing to have new shows to entertain and educate us. Stay safe and healthy. That's from Sherry in Oregon, who gave $35. Thank you. Here's wishing you and the Stars in the House crew all the best. Thank you for continuing to share your warmth, kindness, and Broadway stories with us. Cheers, belated, happy, and healthy 2022. That's from Nancy, and she sent in $100. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
That's
Nancy.
amazing.
Yeah.
You know, Brenda and Bebe, you've been there since the beginning with Stars in the House, and I don't know if you were at the very beginning of the show, but James, why don't you tell them what we've raised so far?
Yeah, our total, not including, of course, tonight's amazing donations, we're up to over $1,120,250 raised for the Actors Fund.
Wow. Awesome. Thank you to you guys, too, because
Fantastic.
this
Well, we
has
love you
been amazing. This has been really amazing.
You
I
know,
love you on here.
And it's not just that you helped raise so much desperately needed money. You've created a community. You have helped us gather in a time where we all feel so isolated. And, you know, really it's so challenging to our mental health and our emotional health. And the theater is community. And to not have that community all the time is really,
It's hard.
you know, it's serious. It's really hard for us. So you are providing that place. You're providing, if not a stage, but then a fireside around which we can all gather and tell our stories and have a laugh.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
Thank you, Bebe.
Absolutely.
I love that. And Bebe, I want to talk to you for one more minute. So when you would do a chorus on, maybe people don't know, is that the understudies are actually in the opening number because they've become the cut dancers.
Yeah.
So do you remember my favorite quote unquote track when you would play Lois? Because Lois is supposed to be a ballet dancer trying out for a jazz combination. And do they tell you to make it very overly balletic?
Oh, yes, yes. I played Lois the ballet dancer, and you wear a pink leotard and pink tights and pink ballet slippers and a little chiffon skirt.
Oh, my God.
And usually that person also understudies Cassie, and sometimes Sheila also, and that was the case for me. And I was I did that out on the road. My very first job, I understudied Sheila and Cassie. I eventually played Sheila on the road, and then I played Cassie on the road. And then I came into Broadway, and before I took over the role of Sheila, I was doing that same thing, playing Lois and covering. Well, one night I go on and I do the opening, and I go back up to the dressing room. I'm gonna go smoke a cigarette and, you know, wait to go sing in the backstage booth. And our dance captain, Troy Garza, comes up to me and goes, you know, Cheryl's not feeling great. You might want to throw on a skirt and a pair of heels. Right. Oh. So it's true. Cheryl Clark, our fantastic Cassie, was not feeling well. And so the way we would do it during chorus, like, you know, you're so exposed. How do you go on in the middle of the show? Because you're just, you know, 17 people standing on a line. Well, during the ballet backup, which is at the ballet, everybody goes da 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 da, and they walk up stage and they turn around and they do this stuff all in the dark while these three fierce ladies are singing and doing their thing downstage. And then at the end, they at the end it's at the ballet, and everybody goes da 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 da, and you walk back into your logo positions. Well, when we're upstage there, we're like this, and Cheryl Clark goes just walks off to the wing, and then I come back on to her place, and we turn around, and da da da, and
Wow.
in the red skirt.
Theater, live theater. Yes.
And what I love is that when Lois, instead of doing the opening combination with jazz hands, she sort of does like a high.
It was like my little rectangle isn't big enough to show you, but it's like da 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 da. And you turn out, your pirouettes are turned out, and yeah.
You're not gonna believe what I found. Someone found this tape at Housing Works, and you could see just 10 seconds, but let's look at Bebe Neuwirth as Lois. 1980, you're like 22 years old, just a little
21.
bit.
21
years old.
I'm 21.
You're gonna you see yourself run on. Watch this.
Rolling Brown, much better. But feel too much tension. Big, let's go. Relax. 5, 6, 7, 8.
I think I know the steps. So could you have someone do it in front, please?
5, 6, 7, 8.
I'm not sure that's even me.
It is. It told Cheryl Clark listed everybody. It looks just like you, and you can see the acting too. Watch one more time.
Watch it again.
Watch the Bebe Neuwirth acting.
Say it again.
Rolling Brown, much better. But feel too much tension. Big, let's go. Relax. 5, 6, 7, 8.
I think I know the steps. So could you have someone do it in front, please?
5, 6, 7, 8.
Oh yeah.
I don't think that's me.
That's you. That's you.
I don't think so.
Even Cheryl Clark said it. I'm gonna send it to you, and you can watch the whole thing because you can watch it in jazz combination.
Oh
Okay, so
yeah.
I'm gonna show my final thing.
You're gonna show.
Okay, so
bring on Paul and
this is like a 3-minute video, but I think you guys will enjoy it. And this is something that I did for the Actors Fund, explaining what swings do. And it's around like a 3 to 4 minutes, but I'm really proud of it. I did it maybe 14 years ago, and it really shows what a swing does. And Bebe, this I think you will identify with this. I did it 2 nights for the Actors Fund. Take a gander at this.
My only adolescent, my only adolescent, my only adolescent, my only adolescent. Suddenly I'm 17, and suddenly I'm 17, and suddenly I'm 17, and suddenly there's a lot I am not certain of. Goodbye 12, goodbye 13, goodbye 14, goodbye 15, goodbye 16, goodbye 17.
Okay. I'm obsessed. Isn't that great? Hello, love. The crazy kick to the side. Okay, so here's the deal. Now it's time for you to see what actually happens at a Broadway show. Every swing has to be ready to go on for a dancer at a moment's notice. So I'd like to recreate for you the terror that a swing feels the first time they go on by showing you a swing who is terrified. That swing is me. I'm prepared to go on for anybody on the stage. Oh my God, what was I thinking? Okay, so I need a volunteer from the audience here. Why don't you come up, sir? You're right there. Okay, come on up. So you're now the stage manager. I'm gonna give you some lines to read to make it like a real Broadway show. Okay, so here's your first line.
Attention male swing.
That's me.
Aren't you a little old and out of shape to be a swing?
Not cool. Yeah, not cool.
There's been an emergency. One of the dancers got sick and you have to go on for them.
What happened?
They did a double pirouette into a fan kick and their coccyx fell out.
That's crazy. Okay, so who did it happen to? You can pick anybody, guy or girl on stage. Who did it happen to? Oh God, listen to this. I'm in! Okay, thank you very much. Lauren, stay right there. Oh, I'll take those cards. Unless you want to have a souvenir. Lauren! What group are you? You're group 2. What number are you on? 3. What number do you end on? You go to number 1.
Places.
Wait, group
Places,
what?
please.
Group 2. Okay. I'm ready!
Lauren Lataro.
Yes.
Lauren Lataro, big Broadway choreographer, director, Lauren Lataro.
Isn't that amazing that she was the one whose coccyx fell out?
You know, I forgot to tell you, there used to be, just real fast, there used to be a benefit every year called Waiting in the Wings. And I think it was for the Actors Fund. And I remember when I was doing Sweet Charity, we did it. And it's the night the understudies go on. And it's a whole evening of all the Broadway shows with all the understudies playing parts. And I know Judy was on earlier talking about Edwin Drood. And I remember Betsy Jocelyn was cracking me up backstage. She was doing it because Drood was there. I did If My Friends Could See Me Now for Sweet Charity, and it was really fun. It was.
I remember that. Yes.
Do that again.
It needs to come back after
Yeah.
we get through this.
Yeah, I think it's really wonderful. It was really, really wonderful.
That's a great idea. All right, so ladies, we're going to say goodbye. We're going to bring on 2 more Understudies and Swings.
Thank you,
Thank
Bebe.
you.
Thank you, Brenda. We love you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody who donated. Bye-bye.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Brenda. And finally, our 2 pals.
Hold on, my microphone
Oh.
broke. I may be holding it like
that's
this for the rest of the show.
Oh, wow, I see. Our 2 pals who are Understudies and Swings. Please welcome the amazing Narm Lewis, aka Paul Castree. And
Never gets old. Hi,
and
Paul.
Ms. Anika Larsen.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Anika.
Anika, your hair looks adorable. Anika,
Anika, it feels like it's been a long time since you've been on Stars in the House. It's been a couple of months.
I know. I was pretty regular there for a while. I was also in your first week. I think I was your first Thursday. Me and Freddie did a concert over by our piano.
2 p.m. Well, by the way, we had because we had matinees every day. You were
Yeah.
Thursday. That was so great. And you guys did the trumpet. Oh God, that was so good.
Did you do that on your porch? Had you started your porch concerts at that point?
No, that helped inspire the porch concerts that we then did monthly for our neighbors after that. Yeah, we keep meaning to do another one, but I don't know, winter.
Right now it's kind of cold, so you don't have you have your cozy fire behind you.
But Lauren Lataro is choreographing Almost Famous, which is coming to Broadway this summer. So
yes,
yeah.
Written by Tom Kitt and Cameron Crowe, and starring Colin Donnell and Ms. Anika Larsen.
Yes.
Okay, so before we go, I want Anika to tell her story, and one of my favorite stories about being an understudy. So first of all, Anika went to Yale. So she's obsessed with the etymology. What does the word understudy mean, Anika?
I'm not sure that this is like necessarily really correct. It's just how I've always thought about it, but that you're by definition understudied, like you're just not studied enough, like you're not prepared enough. There's no way. You never, even with a put-in is not really, it's not ever the full actual cast, full sound, full lights with full costumes with never mind with humans sitting in the audience. So you never get the experience that everybody else who gets to be in the original cast gets. And so you can't, as Paul is nodding, you can't ever be fully prepared for the terror that it's such. I mean, more people they've done this they've asked this question lots of times, but more people fear public speaking more than death. Like there's it's a terrifying thing to do. So we do this sort of terrifying thing. And to be an understudy, you're asked, it's just kicked up such a notch. And so in Xanadu, I was the understudy. I was a swing. At my Broadway debut, I was a swing in Rent. And I covered 4 roles, the 3 ensemble women and Maureen. And then I also understudied with Paul Castree. We were both in All Shook Up together. We did lots of understudy rehearsals together. But Xanadu was the 3rd time I ever understudied. And I covered Carrie Butler, and she played Kira. And of course, if you know Xanadu, she did 80% of her show on these. And as if understudying is not terrifying enough, to understudy a role where 80% of your role, you're on roller skates. And it's a comedy, like it's a balls to the wall, like comedy. And audiences don't laugh if they're nervous for you. So I knew, no, really, like if they're worried, they don't laugh. It's not funny. And so I knew if I fall, I ruin the show for myself. And I only ever went on twice. Like I wasn't, and so she didn't go out. Carrie, she's a pro. So I have very clear memory of standing. So in the opening number of Xanadu, all of the characters, all of the muses come out of the floor into fog. So you can't see, but it's a trap door that comes down and everybody stands on it. And then like in 2s or 3s comes raised up. And so you've got Jackie Hoffman and Mary Testa come up, and then you've got just little by little, all the groups of people coming out. And then of course, Carrie comes out last, and it's fabulous. And so I'm standing there about to go on for the first time, and little by little, everyone leaves me, and I'm left alone. And it was suddenly the dread, the fear. It was so scary that I, for 1 nanosecond, very seriously considered, what if I just run down that hallway, up those stairs, and out of the building right now? What would happen? Like, what would they'd figure out a way to get on with the show. but everybody in the business would hear about it. My agents would know. Would I ever get a job again? Like, I'm trying to piece through like how detrimental this would be. Like, and the show's going and there's no time. And so I stepped on the trap and it lifted me up and I blacked out for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Woke up at Bows. But yeah, no, it's real. The fear is real.
I love that you literally thought it through. It's like, okay, my agent will hear.
I want to know in real time how many seconds that was, Anika. Like,
Oh, I'm sure it wasn't a full second. I'm sure
Yeah.
it was at one Mississippi. I'm sure it was faster than there wasn't time. There wasn't time for that.
It's stressing me out.
I asked David to find a clip. Let's see what he found. Anika Larsen, Xanadu.
Come on, baby, I'm tired of talking. Grab your coat and let's start walking. Come on, come on. Come on, come on. Come on, come on. Procrastinate, don't articulate, boy, it's getting late. You just sit and wait around. Well, this conversation and a little more action, please. All this aggravation ain't satisfaction in me. A little more bite, a little less spark, a little less fight, a little more spark. Shut your mouth and open up your heart and baby, satisfy me. Satisfy me, baby. Satisfy me. Satisfy me, baby. Satisfy me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, guys all shook up.
It was a different show that she understudied in, but the Fs were amazing. Also does that. Okay, Paul Castree. Well, you want to?
Yes.
Well, here's the thing. We have amazing donations that are in the private chat, y'all. But there's also, I wanted you to go up and read, because we get these great testimonials from people who have benefited from the Actors Fund. So, Anika, could you scroll up on the private chat and read number 2? And then, Paul, you read number 1 that's right under it.
This is from a Career Center workshop attendee. Thank you for a wonderful workshop. As I've been navigating my new job search, I often find myself overwhelmed with all of the steps that I want to accomplish in a day and week, my most frequent barrier. But the tips and guidelines from today's workshop will really help me take a deep breath and feel more grounded as I work toward my goals.
And Paul, can you read the one?
You know what? I actually can't read it. It's doing that thing where all of the comments, they're all on top of each other.
And
So
Anika, you want to read the next one?
I'll be his understudy.
there you go. And I feel I just
Right.
His topic fell out. So, from an emergency financial assistance grant recipient, I would like to express gratitude for the assistance received by the Actors Fund early on in the pandemic. Know that all the effort and care given by your dedicated workers is not without conscious thought and appreciation amidst this day and age of toil, distraction, and suffering. I'm so grateful to you.
Oh, that's very nice.
So nice.
Well, if Paul can't read, well, the donations are in the private chat. So how do you want to do this, Seth?
can't read them.
Can you read the donate? You can't see it, Paulie?
The one
Can
at
I can see some of them now.
Read one.
Read what? Yeah, okay.
This donation is a shout out to Scott Holloway, whose birthday is today, and to the other Sith Core fam Aquarians, whose time is now. In November, I saw Wicked for the first time. The touring company and an understudy played Elphaba. She was fabulous. Seth and James, thank you, as always, for giving us a place to gather and learn. Patricia, $25.
Yes.
That's so nice. Anika, why don't you be the one 2 up from that, donating tonight in honor?
Donating tonight in honor of the brilliant and oh so talented Anika Larsen, and in honor of my 4 understudies of my play who saved our show this past 2 weeks at my theater. All my love to y'all. $20. Jason from Amarillo, Texas. He is a little biased. Crispine. He's loved here at Stars.
Yes. That's right. Okay, I'll read this next one. Seth, James, Dr. LaPook, David. As always, the shows are fantastic. Shout out to Brenda. Should have had her do that. As I use Pandamdemic all the time now. We sure do. Pandamdemic. It's just enough sass to use it in all references to this time. Thank you to you all. Dennis from San Francisco, $100.
Brava. And I guess I'll read this one. Tonight's donation is in honor of, well, me. because it's my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Love to my Sith Core fam, Seth, James, Dr. LaPook, David, Jen, the stars, and all have made Sith the amazing, uplifting, hopeful, hilarious, informative, sanity restoring, and literally life-saving, amazing show it is. In keeping with tonight's theme, I just saw The Wicked Tour in Kansas City starring understudies Natalia Vivino, Donna Vivino's sister, and Jennifer Newberry as Elphaba and Glinda. So glad Broadway is back, and thank you, understudies. Scott, $25. Thank you, Scott. Happy birthday.
The donations tonight have been amazing.
God, they've been so good.
Really great.
Okay, so before we go, Polly, please talk about, you were an actual swing in Scarlet Pimpernel, where you covered how many ensemble roles?
I think I recently counted them up. I think it was 12. That was a huge cast. It was like a cast of almost 40 people. So it was just a giant cast. Yeah, that was crazy.
And an actual lead. So this is what Anika was talking about, how you're never fully prepared. This is the classic, because just so people don't know, you have like understudy rehearsals every week, but no one wants to spend any money on them. So you don't rehearse in your costume. You don't rehearse with the orchestra. You barely rehearse with the set, with your props. It's kind of like you're told, oh, this will be here, this will be there. But then you have to do it. And suddenly you visualize this happening. So Paul, talk about when you had to go on for Gilles Chiasson.
For Gilles, yes. So I was the swing in that show, but then I also understudied the this principal role, and we'd been running not too long. Gilles had been out, and they had put a guy in the ensemble on as who only covered Gilles. That's the only thing he did. So he had been doing it, and I was sort of learning all my parts. I was still, when you're swing, the show opens, and then all your work starts, right? So I was still working on all my other parts. So I made a little error, and I thought, I'm kind of ready, but I won't go on for a while, probably. Anyway, the PSM called me because he was a friend of mine. He wanted to put me on. He's like, so Paulie, I want to put you on this afternoon. Tonight. It was in the afternoon. Can you do it? And of course I had to say yes. I couldn't say, oh, I'm not really ready.
Right.
So I said, yes, of course. So I ran to the theater, and here's the thing. I knew all the lines, and I had them all on note cards. And I knew I had to sing a duet with, oh my God, I'm blanking on her name. Christine Andreas, amazing, in Act 2. And I knew the song, the lyrics. I always know my lyrics, right, Seth?
We'll talk about that.
The lyrics were touch and go, but I went and I rehearsed with our associate music director, went through the song, and I had all my cards ready. But really, I was understudied. I was definitely understudied. And then they started, once we were getting closer, then they turned me over to the tech guys. The PSM was like, you need to talk to them about all this technical stuff. First of all, there was a whole fight scene with bayonets that had real metal points on them that I'd gone through, I think, twice. And of course, we could never actually use the real bayonets. So be really careful with the bayonets because they actually are steel pointed. First of all, why were they steel pointed? Why? And then the scariest thing was that in Act 2, they had this cool thing where we're supposed to be in a coach escaping France, me and Christine Andreas. Christine Andreas, the scene opens, she's already in the coach. But what happened is, I don't know if you've ever seen this on stage, there were these black panels that telescoped in from top and bottom and side to side. So the coach is sort of like a TV set up in the middle of I can't describe it. We're up about 8 feet off the stage. So all you're seeing is the coach and everything else is black, right?
Right.
So they told me so of course we could never practice this. Now what you have to do is you're going to climb up you're going to get on this rolling staircase that during the blackout, you're going to get on and they're going to roll it into place. You're going to be climbing up while it's rolling. You're going to hang onto this bar. Now a gun is going to go off near your ear. Now don't let that shock you. I remember saying because we have to do the bang, because that's when I go into the coach. Then swing yourself through, hang on this bar and swing through the window of the coach and land into the coach, which is going like this, but not too hard, because if you do it too hard, you will fall out of the coach onto the stage and there will be no way you can get back into the coach. Good luck.
That's inhumane. That's awful.
Right.
Yes.
So but you know how you get, it's like you become this, all your senses are so on fire in a way that we never really are, except when we're under threat. It's the only way I can think of it. I mean, I just like, I don't know. I did it. I swung through. I landed. I was like, thank God. And then the only other thing that happened was I was doing the duet with Christina Andreas, who was so lovely, by the way, before, during, and after this whole process. And we're holding hands and we're singing it, and it went great. I was slowly going through. I was like, sang all my lyrics right. I was so pleased. And actually, the whole night went really well. Thank God. I was so happy. Ran into Christine in the hallway, and she's like, Paul, you did such a good job. She's very sweet. You did such a good job. I love doing it with you. If I could just, you wouldn't mind if I just gave you a little, I'm not going to say it right because it wasn't obnoxious. Like, anyway, she just said, I would just offer to you, when you sing, I just noticed that you were holding my hand so tightly during each line. And I just nodded saying, oh, you're right, Christine. I did have a lot of tension, but I didn't want to say because I really didn't know the lyrics to our duet. I didn't want to offer that up as the reason why. But anyway, it went fine, but it's so true. There's so many things that even maybe months into the run, they will never allow you to actually practice.
And the magical thing, as you know, we're talking about and celebrating understudies, is that the vast majority of the time, the audience has no idea that we are this stressed, had no idea you weren't going to nail getting into that coach. They just don't, because we are professionals.
Right. And I have to say, too, most times, it was always the case when I would go on, the rest of the cast is so excited and they're so beaming all this energy to you. I went to see, my friend Kira. What'd you say?
I was going to say, and they're ready to catch you if you fall. They're
so ready to catch you. My friend Kira Schmidt went on for Stephanie Block in the lead role in Anything Goes, had never had, not only not a put in, had only had a few rehearsals because this was well into the run of the show. She texted me, she's like, well, I'm going on if you want to come. And I was like, absolutely. First of all, she was great, but watching the rest of the cast give her all that, it was so fun to watch. They were so excited for her. Joel Grey and John McMartin and all of them were just, you can do it. I mean, I don't think the rest of the audience saw that, but it's really thrilling that's how, the cast reacts when an understudy goes on, I think.
And it was so fun for me in the orchestra, Paula, like when you and me were doing Grease, it was so fun when like a different teen angel would go on or a different duty, because it was like, how are they going to sing it? It was so fun. I would always turn it up because it just changed up the show. So I loved it, especially a show with riffs. It's like, what are they going to add? Oh my God, I love when understudies would go on. So wait, before you go, I have two things I want to do. So Paul, just quickly, Paul was an understudy or a swing, whatever you want to call it, in Forever Plaid, which is the same lyrics basically, but different lyrical solos, but also all different harmony parts. That's just so difficult about it. And that's how Paul and I met. So Paul, you covered Jinx and Frankie, and at one point even Sparky. Just tell your story about going on for the da 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 da.
Oh, you mean when I went on for Frankie?
Yes, when you went on for Frankie.
Right. Okay. Lyrics. No, so if you don't know the show Forever Plaid, it's about 4 guys who form a singing group, and they were singing songs that were made hits in the late 50s. And one of them is Moments to Remember. And in the actual song, in the real song that was recorded, at one point, one of the singers speaks these lines during the song. And should I say what they're supposed to be first?
Yeah, driving movie.
Right. So Frankie would lean forward while all the other guys are singing oohs. He would lean forward and go, the drive-in movie where we'd go and somehow never watch the show. And then we will have these moments to remember. Anyway, so I think this is off Broadway where I was switching back and forth. I would do one night as Jinx and the next night as Frankie. It was early on. And I know because Ryan Perry was playing Jinx, I don't know how he knew, but I leaned forward and there was just a second pause where I could not, and I heard him go, uh-oh, literally like, uh-oh. And this is what I came up with. The quiet walks through the woods. First of all, there's no woods. And somehow never watch a show. So I thought I could save it by changing the to because there's not many shows in forests in the woods, but there was one. So the audience was so confused because they didn't know what I was saying and then why the suggestive wink.
Okay, before you go, my mom is visiting, and speaking of Forever Plaid, and speaking of Paul playing so many different roles, this was my mom's 80th birthday, and Paul Castree, Cliff Thorne, Drew Geraci, and Tim Cross sang a Forever Plaid song. Paul's on the top part. Listen how great he sounds.
You don't thrill me when you hold me, no, not much.
My brain gets hazy from your cool and crazy touch.
Baby, if you ever go, could I take it? Maybe so. But would I like it? No, not much. No, not
Yay.
Many years post the actual show.
Paul, I want to say after both of those stories that I often say that professional actors aren't perfect. It's just that when we're imperfect, we handle it. And both of those are great examples of you said something. The audience didn't know. They just thought, oh, that's a terrible line somebody wrote. But they didn't know to start worrying for you that you said something.
Right.
And then getting into the coach and even feeling, grabbing her hands, but even feeling so stressed out. You did it, right? Like you were, and sort of the bar we measure ourselves by. It's so crazy unreasonable, right? But like you're such a pro because you felt like you didn't know it, but you knew it, right? You knew it. You managed to do it. And that's the sort of, I don't know, that's the superheroism of understudies.
Yeah. Well, that's sweet. That's a really great way to think of it. It's true. And by the way, yes, I will always say something crazy. And one time I went on, just really quick, I went on for the one time for Willard and Footloose, another part, and I was singing something to Jeremy Kushner. And there was like a bridge that I was just like, nope. But I said some sort of gibberish and his eyebrows just went up and he was so happy. He was just like,
Not helping.
So not helping and listening. Oh God. But it actually weirdly rhymed. That's what I was obsessed with. Like, I don't know what I said, but I made it rhyme.
And Paul made it rhyme when he was doing Forever Plaid, and it's supposed to be Matilda, come and sing along now. No, come and sing the song now. Matilda, help me sing along now. And Paul made it rhyme because he went Matilda, sing it everybody, went into a panic and went Matilda, and then did
what? I don't remember. Matilda, Adi. Yeah, I just made up something.
He went Matilda, sing it everybody, Matilda, Adi.
Oh yeah,
he made it rhyme.
And the audience just thought, "Oh, I didn't quite catch that lyric. What was that?"
No, they really had no idea. They had no idea.
So
but
close.
Oh my God, so many understudy rehearsals. Remember rehearsing All Shook Up? Oh my God.
Yes, I remember the motorcycle, like you say, like the things you like. The day I went on, they were like, and now you're going to drive a motorcycle, and then you have to drive it off a pallet, and then you have to turn a corner and land it on the pallet. And if it doesn't land on the pallet with 2 inches on either side, then it won't go off stage when it needs to, and it's going to get awkward. Yeah, no, it's
You were great. I loved when you went on.
You were great.
You were so good.
Anika, I saw you go on. You're amazing. All right, kids, we're gonna be back next week.
Yeah, we may be doing a game night actually next Monday.
Oh yeah, maybe. And get this book, by the way.
That's right. B is for Broadway. Anika, Paul, and all of our guests, thank you so much. We will.
Thank you for those donations, man.
Yeah, the donations were great tonight. All right, thanks everyone. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.